Welcome back to my channel. I am Evelyn, your accountability coach, and today we are talking about the bare minimum plan, why you should have it, but also why you should not always rely on it. So get a pen and paper because if you don't already have the plan made, we're about to make it now. So if you don't already have your bare minimum plan made, this is what you need to do. Whatever your goal is, whatever pillar you're working on, whether it's mindset, nutrition, fitness, or finance, you have your original goal, your big goal, your main goal. You've broken it down into smaller goals. But now you need something that is the absolute bare minimum. So whenever life starts to happen, those moments where I'm giving myself grace, what is the one thing you can do no matter what, besides like grief and the things, but what is the one thing that you can do that will still push you to progress towards that goal? That is what you need to think about. So if it's mindset, one thing that I can absolutely do no matter what I'm doing is meditation. I can at least give myself about 5 to 10 minutes to meditate, to just ground myself, calm my thinking, just regulate my emotions. That is the bare minimum that I can do in mindset. For nutrition, again, it would just be making sure I consume one healthy meal. And the fact that I meal prep makes it a little easier. If it is fitness, my intentional movement is a minimum of 30 minutes a day. That is my absolute bare minimum of cardio. I will go for a 30-minute walk. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if it's raining. If I have to get on that treadmill downstairs and I do not like it, that is my bare minimum. When it comes to my finances, my bare minimum is at least $25 a month towards my savings. That is the least that I can do. And that is why it is important to have this, because you can't stop life from happening. You have to have a system, you have to have a plan, and that will keep you organized. Honestly, that is the strategy. That's what people do. They prepare for the future, they prepare for the things that could possibly happen. They have a plan for them so that way when it does happen, you're good to go. So now that you have your bare minimum, you better not rely on it majority of the time. You know how I'm always saying your habits and your lifestyle is built by what you do majority of the time. So let's say you have your 7 days in a week. Out of those seven, majority of the time, you should be working towards your goal at that top level that you've already created. You should not be doing 6 of the 7 days at your bare minimum. So I should not just put $20 away for the month just because I can. Makes sense? So you need to look at it in smaller chunks. So I look at it week by week. You look at it month by month, depending on your goal. But you cannot fully rely on the bare minimum majority of the time, because that's a temporary space. That is just to get you by. That is your grace moment. That is not a space that you're supposed to live permanently. So that is where a lot of people get confused or they settle. Your bare minimum is not meant for you to settle. It's not. It's the little things that can keep the momentum going, but ultimately that bigger goal that you're working towards, that you do majority of the time, that is where you're going to see your real growth. You're not going to see a lot of growth in the bare minimum. That is just a little bit so you can keep progressing, but you need to be working at your highest capacity majority of the time. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I know grace is important, but it cannot negate progress. You need to be able to hold yourself accountable and say, am I making an excuse here and just wanting to live in comfort? Or do I have a legitimate reason to be working at my bare minimum? And sometimes you absolutely have a legitimate reason, but a lot of times you see people saying like, oh, I just want to go to sleep, or I've been working all day, and these little tiny things that you do on a regular basis as grace, and to continue to give yourself grace in every single pillar throughout the entire day, multiple days in a row. That is where you start to see those habits that you've created that you want to break show up. And then you reinforce them by consistently doing it. So you do have to hold yourself accountable. And I know that can be hard when you're learning accountability and you're learning to become a little more self-aware, but holding yourself accountable builds your confidence and it builds your trust, because you're keeping your word to you. And that accountability is going to help you actually achieve the main goal of what you've been trying to achieve from this entire time. Leave you with this: grace is important, rest is important, progress matters too. So make sure you have your bare minimum plan. Make sure it is in alignment with your big goal, your original plan that you already created. And you're just not doing that bare minimum every single day. But either way, I hope you have an unrecognizable day. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.